Those of us who have been around a while, and Elder Worthland and I have been around a long time, have recognized certain patterns of life's tests. There are cycles of good and bad times, ups and downs, periods of joy and sadness, times of plenty, times of scarcity. When our lives turn in unanticipated and undesirable directions, sometimes we experience stress and anxiety. One of the challenges of this mortal experience is not to allow the stress and strains of life to get the better of us, to endure in a variety of seasons of life while remaining positive and optimistic. Perhaps when difficulties and challenges strike, we should find these hopeful words of Robert Browning: "The best is yet to be." We cannot predict all of the struggles and storms of life, not even the ones around the next corner. But as persons of faith and hope, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the gospel of Jesus Christ is true, and the best is yet to come. I remember a particular period in my life when I was under unusual stress. There were troubles in my employment. At the same time, my wife was diagnosed as having a life-threatening illness. This was one of those times when it felt like the adversary had mounted a frontal assault against me and my family. On days when stress and anxiety of our tumultuous lives were about to get the best of us, my wife and I found a way to relieve them. We drove to a place a few miles from our home to get away for a few moments of relief from our troubles, talked, and gave emotional comfort to each other. Our place was Walden Pond, a beautiful little pond surrounded by a forest of trees. When my wife was felt strong enough, we'd go for a walk around the pond. Other days, when she did not feel up to the exertion of walking, we'd just sit in the car and talk. Walden Pond was a special place to pause, reflect, and heal. Perhaps it was partly due because of its history, its connections to the efforts of Henry David Thoreau to separate himself from worldliness for a period of years, that it offered to us so much hope for simplicity and provided such a renewed escape from the overtly complexions of life. It was on March of 1845 that Thoreau decided to move out on the banks of Walden Pond and spend 2 years trying to figure out what life was all about. He settled on a piece of property owned by his good friend Ralph Waldo Emerson. He purchased an old shanty from a railroad worker, tore it down from the lumbers of the shanty and from the lumbers in the woods. He constructed his own cabin. He kept meticulous financial records, and he concluded that for the home and freedom, he had spent a mere sum of $28.12. He planted a garden where he sowed peas, potatoes, corn, beans, and turnips to help sustain his simple life. He planted 2.5 acres of beans with the intention of using the small profit to cover his needs. Small profit indeed, $8.71. Thoreau lived quiet, independent of time. He had neither a clock nor a calendar in his little cabin. He spent his time writing and studying the beauties and wonders of nature that surrounded him, including local plants, birds, and animals. He did not live the life of a hermit. He visited the town of Concord most days, and he invited others to come to his cabin for enlightening conversations. When the 2 years ended, he left his cabin without regret. He considered the time he had spent there a proper amount of time to accomplish his purpose, to experience the spiritual benefits of a simplified lifestyle. He also felt that he had other life's experiences ahead of him. It was time to move on and explore other opportunities. From his experiences on Walden Pond, Thoreau determined there were only 4 things that a man really needed: food, clothing, shelter, and fuel. I would like to expand on each of these 4 basic needs of life, as well as the spiritual benefits of a simplified lifestyle.